I have a radio show that somebody talked me into hosting, but there's a radio show that I spent the whole last part of the radio show was about the myth of that, where the focus has been on obesity. It's been on high fructose corn syrup and processed foods. Okay, the risk of some of those diseases. First of all, some of those diseases have nothing to do with obesity. The risk factor, let's say, one of the largest ones that it would have a risk factor for is coronary heart disease, which happens to be the largest cause of death and disease and mortality in the U.S. Okay, obesity. You know what the risk factor is for obesity for coronary heart disease? It's 27%. Okay, so you're right. 27%. You have a 27% risk factor. Go look it up. The NIH will tell you what it is. Do you know what it is for eating animal products? It's 25%. Okay, so and I can go through the risk factors of all those. So I picked those out because those are the leading causes of death and disease in America, and those are factors that I didn't pull out of my hair or something. And I said the precursors are hypertension and obesity, but those are also caused by eating animal products. Okay, so yes, you can be a vegan and be unhealthy. We all know that. But I'm trying to point out, yeah. But I'm trying to point out, and when I mention the thing about me, I just do that. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest loser. I'm not going to get up here and say I've lost 5,000 pounds in the last 2 days, and so do what I did. But I can tell you that that what I said is true, and I believe everybody can be like that. And until you show me, a group of people like the Tarahumara Indians or numerous epidemiological studies in various groups, unless you can show me a population that eats, all meat products and not processed foods, and they have the same type of, lack of diseases, I'd be all ears to talk about it. But yes, Corey.
Yeah. I wanted to thank you for talking about the cage-free movement and your advice for it, because I know for a lot of us who worked on it who were vegan, it's very, it was hard.
It's huge. I can't imagine. I don't want to say too much more about it, but I can tell you, I spent a lot of time looking at that and then deciding how I was even going to talk to you about it.
It's like, how do you feel about it?
I was on a flight from Cornell to here thinking about, I'm not even going to, I put it at the end. I had it in the middle somewhere, and I thought, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to, because I didn't want you to misinterpret, my intent or what type of person I am, or and I didn't want Sabrina to get mad at me. So, but I decided, I have to feel good about myself when I wake up every morning. And I felt like if I turned this around on the flight here, and I said, if I was sitting out there and I was involved in trying to educate 1,500 students that you had to have or more on, for their signatures to get this started, what a tremendous thing you guys did. I would still want to hear somebody who might know the farms and might have a different take on it. I really would. And so that's why I did that. So thanks for saying that, because it makes me feel better. I'll go to sleep easier tonight, knowing that you're not mad at me. So.
I wanted to ask what your advice would be for our next step as a club.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd ask that. Yeah, I was hoping you'd ask that. I think the next step, honestly, would be to. You've already taken a huge step with this, so I don't know that it would be that efficient of your time, even though it's the right thing to do, to kind of continue on the cage-free, knowing that there's huge abuses. It's kind of like if you caught somebody, putting daggers into these chickens' eyes, and you've now made them take one of the daggers out. So does that make it better? What you did, like I said, is great. So I don't know that I'd go back to that quite yet. I'd probably hit sustainable seafood. And as I understand, I don't know that it's that much. I didn't get all the figures from Sabrina. She's great and got most of those to me. But I saw where there's a few $100,000 spent on it out of a $12.2 million budget. And I'd have to look at that more carefully. But again, I spent a great fraction of this time on seafood because it needs to be that way, because that's where our movements are going. Our movements are going towards seafood, dairy products, and grass-fed operations. Okay, so I would probably hit some of those up. I can talk more specifically with you about it, but I'd say in terms of generalities, I would start looking at and I didn't get exactly the numbers on that either from your local food, but I saw where 9% of all the local food is really vegetables and fruit. So I would start looking at turning that around to 100%, because otherwise, and you know the thing is anybody familiar with the Carnegie Mellon study about energy use from transportation of food? Only 11% of all the fossil fuel costs from a food processing comes from transportation. It's only 11%. So, you know, buying local is fine, but you should be buying then, you know, vegetable and fruits, you know. Otherwise, you're just, you know, it doesn't make any sense. So I'd hit those campaigns first. I really would. I wouldn't come back to. I'd hit cage-free later, because I'll send you some things in terms of, you'll see photos of me getting kicked out of their farms and you know, a shotgun after me, you know. But I'll send you my research on what I found. You know, there are cage-free operations that allow me to see them, which is really, I'll talk to you more about that some other time, but this was really disheartening for me, to see all that you've done, and then for me to talk to the directors of the co-op there and all the farmers. I talked to the farmers, and they won't allow me to see their, as an undercover person that was writing a story about how good they were, you know. So anyway, I would, to summarize, find out from Sabrina really what ratios you're talking about and what in terms of sustainable seafood, which probably isn't sustainable, and then probably work with raising your local percentages to where they should be. Instead of 9%, it should be like 100% for vegetable and fruits, and then working on certainly the issue of grass-fed